don't know what type of owl this is. We have a lot of owls in the area. Hear them at night. I don't often see him during the day. Hard to tell if his eyes are open. See if, oh yeah, he sees me. He doesn't seem to care too much, which is great. Because now we have another animal clip. Fantastic. Alrighty, well, it's been about 2 weeks since we did the timing set on our 97S10. And the noise has not changed whatsoever. I cast you out! As previously discussed, we changed the timing set for a metal-on-metal noise we had in the engine, and we cured that noise. My diagnosis was right. It was the timing set, even though there was nothing obvious. Threw a new timing set at it, and we created a new noise, as you saw in the last video. It's quite obvious to the even most casual observer, my 2 OCD brain cells could not let the noise go. As soon as you step on the gas, noise goes away. As soon as you let off the gas, noise comes back. This is gonna be a super quick video.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God, dude. That was gonna be a little much.
I already got everything unbolted again. We're gonna peel this timing cover off. Hopefully we find something obvious. New parts are supposed to be here sooner than later, and we'll get it switched out. And hopefully this time around, we have no new noises. Timing cover removed. I see nothing obvious, nowhere, no metal on metal. You can see right there where I had to pry the cover off. I damaged the gasket a little bit, but that will be fine. I did also take a chunk out of the cover, prying the old seal out, and there it is. Shame on me. What irks me the most is I had no oil leaks. You can see I had most of the gasket maker towards the front of the cover. We'll try and make that a little bit better, but again, 0 oil leaks, and having to do that part over irks me the most. There's the chunk I took out with the old seal puller. Got a little overzealous and went too far inwards. But yeah, that's not great, so nothing obvious there. All right, let's take a look at truck side. So here is truck side. We'll just slowly go around here. And I don't personally see a smoking gun. If you do, let me know. Let me remove said timing set, and hopefully we see something. Also previously discussed, we thought the chain was kind of outside the guide there. It has about, I don't know if I can get the shot, about a 1/16 on the inside, where that one is about an 1/8 towards the inside of the guide. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. Alrighty, timing set removed. Again, there is no smoking gun here. Nothing obvious. No rub marks, no metal on metal marks, nothing. Plenty of oil. You see our, right up in there, our orifice is full of oil, so that is working great. As far as our new timing set, this is the back of the cam gear. You can see there's a little bit of unhappiness there. This timing set was super tight, even with the pin in place. It was a fight getting it on, and I must have done that trying to line that up with the pin on the cam. There is our crank gear. That is a bugger to get off of there. That tolerance is tight. I don't know if people use a puller or not. In the videos I watched, no one explained removing this timing gear from the crank in any other fashion. I just used my seal puller and took my time and went back and forth about 100 times and worked it off. I know I did have silicone in the keyway to prevent oil loss. Nothing obvious on the chain. Now, the tensioner. Let's talk about that. You can already see wear there, and what's crazy is I already can feel that in my fingernail. You can see we have about 1/8 to 1/4 of, you know, where the chain is riding. You can see the pattern there. I cannot feel anything with my fingernail there. So I did find one thing, and I don't know if it's the cause. It's the only cause it could be in my mind. So I'm going to ask you, when this thing is running at idle, is this tensioner kind of pulsing, doing that? And then once you step on the gas, load the motor, essentially load the chain, as this like stays at a steady, constant pressure and does no longer move around. If you look here, try and get in there. That's, my fingers are good. You see that scratch in there? You see that? So right there is the only sign of wear. And if you look on this roll pin, it is shiny. It doesn't appear to be there, but, and it does stick past the metal bracket there for our tension piece. There, you can see it there. There's a good angle. So, in my mind, at idle, this tensioner spring is flopping around, and that roll pin's going back and forth on the inside of that bracket. And as soon as I touch the gas, we load that chain up and put constant pressure on the spring, and it no longer moves around and our noise goes away. Let me know what you think of that theory. I see no metal flake anywhere thus far. There's nothing obvious. That's the only thing I found. I can obviously feel that with my fingernail. It's actually pretty deep, but isn't that crazy? All they had to do was, I guarantee if I tap that roll pin, I don't guarantee, but I bet if I tap that roll pin in, put it back together, I bet our noise goes away. There was a couple times where I was at idle and the noise would kind of fade in and fade out. It would go away momentarily, but it was still there. And I think that's our culprit right there. That roll pin hitting that bracket. Let me know what you think. That's a real bummer, man.
Like, I'll be totally bummed out if...
I bet we could have just ran it, but my 2 brain cells could not let that noise go. It was driving me nuts because obviously I thought I was putting metal in the oil. So good and bad, mostly bad. Crazy. This time around, we're eliminating the tensioner altogether. Because why not? As stated in the previous video, I couldn't find any research whether this system is good or bad. This is a close? I don't know how you say it. All it says is just, you know, install as stated by manual, except remove the existing tensioner and leave it out. What I don't know is, what about the 2 bolts that held the tensioner in? I stuck a pick in there and those go all the way into the engine. Does that matter? I'm going to put them back with a couple washers, making up for the bracket with a little Loctite, and call it a day. If you have any information on this, whether it's good, bad, other, there really isn't much out there. There is one YouTube video of the close, however you say it, guy doing a time chain on a 2.4 liter, but that doesn't help me here. You know the procedure from the last video. I'm just going to get it all together. If I run into anything weird, I'll bring it back in. But we're basically going to put it back together, start the truck, see if it makes noise. Wish me luck. All right, there's our new tensioner-less timing set installed. Again, 96 foot-pounds on this guy. What do you think about that much play? I don't know. I'm not a professional, but this is where it's at. Let's get it back together and see what happens. You can also see down in there where I put the tensioner bolts back in. Don't know if that's necessary or not. Let me know. In a previous video, we epoxied this airbox cover. And as you can see here, the epoxy failed rapidly. Word to the wise. But for $32 on eBay, I found the only airbox cover for this vehicle, and here it is. So, good news there. Well, good morning. It is the next day. We got everything back together, torqued up to spec, and let it sit overnight so the gasket maker could do its thing. I have yet to try and start this, so there's no time like the present. Let's see what happens. As discussed in the previous video, we changed the EGR valve. Never threw code before, but now we have a 401, and you can read it there. So I went ahead and put the old one back in because, you know, cheap Chinese junk. I'm hoping that's what it is. I was able to sneak a wire down the ports to see if it was indeed restricted. Unfortunately, on this setup, the passageways go to the back of the engine, the back of the head, and there's no way to get access. So I did spray some brake clean down there and blew it out. The code did come back. So again, put the old one back on. Let's clear it. Absolutely. All right, here goes nothing. Focus. Do we have noise? I don't know if I mentioned our brake light finally went out for our, well, we had a brake light on before. Finally went out. I think I said our rear brakes started working again just by driving. It seems all quiet in here and quite quiet out here.
Well, I'll be.
That's fantastic news. I was quite nervous about this. That's the way it should sound. Cap rattle. That's annoying. Much better. It just absolutely amazes me the quality or lack thereof of parts in 2024. It's hard to believe that tiny roll pin against the tensioner bracket was making that noise, but that's all I could find. And I'm sure you know, sound resonates. I can remember back in the day trying to diagnose, you know, driveline and brake noises. You swear it was right front or whatever, and it's coming from the rear, turns out, because, you know, sound resonating through various passageways. You got a pretty good hollow spot behind that cover, and part of me is like, there's no way that tiny roll pin could be making those noises. But part of me says, yeah, it absolutely could. And if you go back to the previous video and listen to noise, it's kind of like a pulse. It's not a constant. And again, when you loaded up that motor, it went away. And there were certain times on idle that the noise went away for a couple seconds, and that all makes sense. Let me know your opinion. Anyways, there's nothing left to do except go road test. Do you want to come for a ride? We have to go to the post office and return the defective part. Alrighty, we made it back without incident. The truck is quiet like it should be. And silly rabbit, that was a FedEx drop-off, not a USPS drop-off. But we got that sorted out, defective part being returned as we speak, and all is right in the world. But not really. Obviously, there's a massive quality control issue, at least in this country, in 2024. And it doesn't seem to matter whether it's cheap Chinese parts or the more expensive, quote-unquote, reliable parts. Case in point, I don't think I mentioned it in the last video, but coolant temp sensor, probably original in this thing, and it maxes out at 150. Pulled it out, was super corroded, bought the Delphi version, the more expensive one, quickly swapped it out, and turned the key, and the gauge proceeded to peg out full hot. Now, I don't know if it's a cluster issue, a wiring issue, or a defective part issue. I didn't get that far. I was super frustrated, along with the timing chain noise issue, and just threw the old one back in. It proceeds to max out about 150. I don't believe it's running that cool, but I really haven't tested it either. But before I ramble, it's just amazing to me and so frustrating to have to do a decent sized job twice. I can't imagine if you do this as your own business or on the side or for money, and this is your bread and butter, and then having to do the job over and over again. And I don't know, I'm assuming you have to eat the labor because of defective parts. It's a sad state of affairs in 2024. Anyways, just food for thought on this. Buyer beware. I thought I bought a better kit in the Melling. We'll see what the Cloy's tensioner elimination kit, we'll see how long that lasts before it starts making noise. Who knows? If this helped you out in any way, or you liked it or found it interesting, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel out so much. And as always, thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next one. And hopefully we're done with this boring Chevy S10 for a while, and it just does the thing without any more incidences. Is that a word? Incidences? You know what I'm trying to tell you. And yeah, next. Just one more thing I forgot to mention. If you have any defective parts nightmare, I would love to hear your story. Put it down in the comments, and we can all just be pissed off together.